I suppose when it comes to these narratives that have to do with video game-esque elements, terms, what have you, they're very hard to kind of nail right, I think, from start to finish. I generally tend to not end up liking these like MMO, RPG, video gamey type stories in the long run. I'm speaking of stories like, Gamer, Dice, Love Parameter, Sword Art, Log Horizons, Dot Hack, and even y'all's precious Solo Leveling. I'm not entirely sure why, but I tend to always lose interest in these types of narratives. I'm not even saying that all the series that I mentioned earlier are bad by any means, just that at some point, at some instance, my engagement went low and I just stopped reading them or playing them, watching them, whatever the case. Now, Hardcore Leveling Warrior is currently my favorite ongoing webtoon, online webtoons, along with Unordinary, as of this video. Now, I want to talk about why I think it's so good, why you should read it, and why out of all of these kind of video game, MMO, JRPG type narratives, this is my favorite one thus far.
I got no time to parlay, unless it's big checks or parlays. I've been rich, it's not far away. Light the spliff and I stargaze. Consultation with the constellations. They said the world was in a dark phase. It got me desperado for protection. Carry big strap in a guitar case.
Most importantly, and above all else, Hardcore Leveling Warrior, drawn and written by Seun Kim, is just a very fun series. Find that we often get caught up in the minutiae of what is objectively good or bad, and we forget to just enjoy ourselves. Hardcore Leveling Warrior is a good time. To keep it brief, there is a game called Lucid Adventure in this world, and people live their regular lives, but when they sleep, they can kind of jack themselves into this dreamlike game where you have your character, your stats, your class, your items, this, that, and the other. The main character, Hardcore, starts off this narrative at the top. He's like the best ranked or highest ranked player, and a sequence of circumstances cause him to basically get reset back to level 1. He wants to find out why it happened and get back his original power with I'm gonna call it a real world issue he has to deal with in his real life outside of the game that's connected to him needing to get stronger and finding out the truth of what happened to him. That's all I'm gonna say. That's the best way for me to say it without me having to spoil specific details. And because I plan on having videos, character analysis, and discussions on the series, I'm okay with keeping this video surface level. I don't want to spoil anybody right now. I want you to want to read this. A good amount of these series like this tend to have two worlds, like I mentioned before. One is the real world, while the other is the game-like world or fantasy world, whatever the case. I like how Hardcore Leveling actually handles the back and forth of the two worlds, and it imparts good lessons about escapism. The reality and difference between the lives of people in Lucid Adventure and their real-world counterparts are truly something else. Shows us the importance of not running away from reality, no matter how shitty that truth may be. The consequences of the real world affect the game, and vice versa. I like that death in the in-game world isn't such a cruel and harsh punishment, that it doesn't have to do the thing where the consequences of failure are so overtly extreme that it's hard for you to always be like, you know what? I actually feel tension and suspense because every time, let's say they die in the game, they die in the real world. That to me, a lot of the time causes some issues. But the fact that they have a really good punishment, but not a permanent one, it still lets you know, like, okay, losing or dying, being, I don't know, killed, we have to respawn. I don't know what sort of term is exactly, but the video game jargon I'm looking for. But dying in Lucid Adventure is a big deal without it like being like, oh my god, you just die in real life and that's it. Because I think that series like that, I think like a Soma, where anytime somebody's having a shokugeki, it's like, if you lose, you're expelled and you can't cook again, and your friends is like, it's too much. You never really believe the hero's going to lose when there's that much stacked against them should they fail. This finds that good balance. Hardcore Leveling Warrior continues the trend of having an overpowered main character in a series where most conflicts are dealt with combat. With a bit of a twist. He doesn't have the ability, stats, or equipment of his prime self. But how did he get there the first time? His skills, his stratagems, drive to improve, drive to be stronger, all of those things are still present there. So even though we see higher level NPCs, characters with crazy abilities and stuff like that, Hardcore or Ethan, even when he wins, beats them, bests them, whatever he ends up doing, you can always believe it because you're like, yo, he got from where he was to rank 1. Those skills don't go away. The way that he gambles, the way that he takes risks, and how he gets his power, you can understand how he went from wherever he was to the first. And you truly believe he can get back there because he's pretty talented at the game. I think there's enough subplots running alongside with the central plot that there's enough to look forward to, but I hope it doesn't lose direction and drag. My only real critique, I have one critique and one nitpick about the series. The criticism is that buffs, debuffs, abilities, and such, they always feel like they come out of nowhere when I'm reading these game types of stories, but they all seem to have that issue, in my opinion. This critique isn't just applied to hardcore leveling. I say it's about the gamer. I say it's about dice, soul leveling, all the things I read. They all have this issue, as far as I'm concerned. My nitpick is just it's super weird. My nitpick is just that comparatively, I feel other webtoons like they pop more. They appeal to me more visually. They're more aesthetically pleasing. Not that the artistry isn't already superb. It is. It's good. Just, I don't know. Wish it was a bit more, I suppose. It's weird. It's not a real criticism. I like the cast. They're good. They're vibrant. There's a lot of cool ones. They got a lot of sick names. Yo, Trip Soup, Heart Heater, bro. Some of these names go crazy. They got really cool armor. I love a lot of the video game armor and weapons that you see here and how they shine certain times. Like it's just a lot to like here. A lot of fun to have. The fights are really good. They're interesting. And mostly when they contain the main character, I always like seeing how he's going to approach a problem because he never necessarily just attacks it head on like an ape. He thinks, he plans, he's got numerous contingency plans, and then he's got his attribute, his ability, which I won't spoil, but when you kind of learn about it and the luck that's involved, you gotta put respect on this dude, my boy Ethan. But anywho, you should definitely give hardcore leveling a fair chance. It run a second season right now. It's just a good time. It's just really fun. I think it's just enjoyable, a good read. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna feel sad. There's no glaring inconsistencies or anything like that. And I'm looking forward to see where they take the series. I got it at about an 8.5 out of 10 right now. It's good shit. Check it out. I'm out of here though.
Red dot on my body and she aiming with the scope. With the bullet in my heart, cause it's the only way to cope. Wait, I cannot live without you. That's really my throat. And I told her that I'm sorry, she can leave me here to float. Wait, red dot on my body and she aiming with the scope.